Hey, everybody. We just hit the welcome button to let everybody in. So for those of you on the replay, we're just going to give it a minute for everybody to filter in and get our participants in here live, give people a minute to get everything sorted, and then we're going to dive into it. We're talking all about Instagram content strategies today. It's going to be great. I love talking about this stuff. So hopefully you're going to love it as much as well. Again, we're just waiting for people to pop in. I'm seeing the numbers kind of pop in here as we get started. For those of you who are tuning in live, hello. I hope that you were here. If you got Monday's session, if you were registered for that one, which was optimizing your profile as a realtor, make sure you go back and watch that one if you were not in attendance live, but were registered for it. The things we're talking about today are kind of a follow-on from some of the things we introduced on Monday. You don't need to have watched that for today to make sense. But what we talked about on Monday is kind of a lead into this stuff, and it will be helpful as a follow-on after today's session. So make sure that you've watched that if you were registered for Monday's session as well. As we go through today, for those of you who are here live, make sure that if you have any questions as we go, please pop those into the Q&A, not into the chat. If you have those questions, it'll be so much easier at the end. We do have time at the end to answer your questions, which is one of my favorite things. I love being here to answer your questions and give you the results that you need out of our time together. But make sure you drop those questions into the Q&A so that I can easily find those without having to scroll through the chat at the end in order to find those questions. So with all of that being said, I'm going to move a couple little things around so that we can screen share and do all the amazing things that we want to see. There we go. That looks right. All right, I love when technology actually works for us. All right, so let's go ahead and dive right in. Like I said, we're talking Instagram content strategies for realtors today. My name is Jen Herman. If you're not familiar with me, I pretty much live all things Instagram, eat, sleep, breathe, learn all things Instagram. I've spoken at conferences around the world. Speaking about Instagram, I've also spoken at a number of real estate related conferences, National Association, California Association, and I'll be back there again this year in person, which I'm super excited about. And I've worked with other local organizations and regional organizations throughout the US and Canada talking about Instagram marketing for the real estate space. So I have a really good understanding of how these things impact you, what you're trying to achieve, and how you can use Instagram to get where you want to get, whether it's getting more leads, whether it's actually closing more sales, getting more buyers, sellers, either side or both sides. So we're going to talk through a bunch of things today related specifically to content strategies. But before I dive right into the content, I want to give you this disclaimer. I want to give you this warning. If you forget everything else I say today, I want you to remember this. Please, I know this sounds counterintuitive, but stop selling houses all the time. You are still going to sell houses 100%. I want you putting your listings up there. I want you to sell houses. I want you to get buyers. I want you to get new sellers. Absolutely. But if that's all that your content is, you are not serving yourself. You are not serving your audience, and Instagram will not, no social media will work for you if all you're doing is ever posting your listings. So stop selling houses all the time and start making your social media more interactive. People connect with people. So be yourself. We talked a little bit about this in Monday's session, and we had some questions about this as well. But people want to interact with you as an individual. I'm going to connect with you as a person, as a parent, as somebody who, whatever your hobbies are, whether we both like tacos or I don't like tacos and you do. There's going to be these commonalities that are going to bond us together as humans more so than just the listing itself. So we want to bring out who you are as a person when we're looking at your content strategy. I want you to think about things like providing resources and information to serve your audience. If you can give them something of value, they're more likely to stick around. They're more likely to engage with that content. The more they're engaging with your content, the more they see all your content, including your home listings. Showcase your lifestyle, who you are, your family, your activities, seasonal things. It's summer vacation right now. Are you going somewhere? Are you traveling? What are your kids doing while they're out of school? Do you have a favorite ice cream shop to go to when it's these hot summer days? What are some tips to beat the heat in whatever part of the county that you live in? These sorts of things are what people are going to connect with. Also, show off the community and neighborhoods that you work in. You know what's going on in those communities. Are there things going on for family events? Are there like a movie in the park type thing? Is there a showcase going on? Are there local charity events or fundraisers going on with local businesses in the communities that you serve? Highlight those sorts of things. Ask for questions and ask for recommendations. People love to give advice. This is one of the best ways to get engagement on any social media, but on Instagram as well. But if you were to say, hey, I've got friends coming into town and we're going to be heading over to Newport Beach to take them out to dinner. What are your best recommendations for dinner in Newport Beach? Boom, 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 boom. People are going to give you recommendations, even if you know where to go, even if you know where you ideally want to take them. Just asking that question generates engagement. When people are engaging on your content, it keeps your content higher in their feed, which means they're more likely to see your other content. Everything serves this cyclical purpose when you post these types of things, but it also is a chance to open up the dialogue. When you ask a question and someone gives a recommendation, they may be like, oh, I just celebrated my birthday over at Javier's in Newport and it was wonderful. And you respond back with, oh my gosh, that's so fun. I do love Javier's and happy birthday to you. Now it's a personal conversation, not just a transactional type conversation. I want you to also obviously share things about your business, your real estate business, your history, your successes. Talk about obviously the houses you've sold, listings you've got coming up, testimonials from your clients, all those sorts of things. We do want those on there as well. But you'll notice of the 6 blocks, only 1 block was specifically about the real estate listings, your testimonials, and that sort of thing. It doesn't mean that that's the exact ratio, but I want you to keep in mind that we want more content related to not just the real estate component, but more about who you are as a person and as a realtor and what that means for people working with you. So when you're creating your content, I want you to think about creating a constant stream of value for them, for your target audience, not for you, for them. If we give them what they want, they will give you what you want in return. So make yourself a local go-to resource. Is there new construction going on? Is there something that's happening? Like I said, whether it's community events, fundraisers, kids activities, seasonal things, make yourself that local go-to resource. I have a realtor here in San Diego that I met. It's been now over 5 years since I met her when I was touring condos for the place I currently live in. I didn't end up renting it from her, but I ended up on her email list. And for all the email lists that I ended up on, she's the only one who I'm still signed up for. Do you know why? Because on the first of every month, she sends out an email with a list of everything happening in San Diego that month. She's got things for parents, she's got things for those over 21, whether it's movie events, whether it's like beer tasting events, whether it's seasonal things like parades, like with 4th of July, she had all the way from 4th of July parties and parades and fireworks locations and everything. Her and her team put a ton of effort into this email with everything to do in San Diego. I mean, not everything, but probably like a really good, like 70% of everything to do that month. So guess what? Every month I'm looking for her email. So because she's become a valuable resource, she gets to stay in my email inbox. And it's the same thing with Instagram. If you can create that content that's constantly providing value to them, people are going to follow you and stay engaged. So make yourself that go-to resource for them. Look at uplifting and supporting other local businesses. We talked a little bit about this on Monday's session, where if you've got a landscaper, a plumber, a home stager, a home organizer, whether a florist, whatever, people that you work with that would be relevant to your target audience, showcase them and say, hey, if you're looking for a plumber, I love working with, Bob over at XYZ Plumbing. He does a great job. He's reliable. He's honest. I've used him for years. just give him a shout out. And now I'm like, oh, I'm going to hold on to that reference because I trust you. And if you're saying this is a reliable person that you've used, that's a good resource for me to have. So uplift and support those local businesses while providing value. And then provide the real estate news and information, whether it's news to the local market, whether it's the national market, those sorts of things. Yes, people want to know what's going on, but be aware of who your target audience is. If you're looking at first-time home buyers, they may not be as interested in the market fluctuations as somebody who's an investment buyer, right? Somebody who's constantly flipping houses and is really interested in the market rates and the little nuances of that. A first-time home buyer is just like, is now a good time to buy? Yes or no, right? They may not have the same level of depth of awareness of market trends. So keep those market trends and that news and information relevant, dissect it appropriately for your target audience. All right, so this is why all of this matters. All of these things I just talked about and what we're going to talk about with the content strategy is because your sales window is actually very narrow. People are not looking to buy houses every day of the week, meaning me as a potential buyer, I'm not looking to buy right now. So if you're only posting listings, it's not relevant to me. And I will stop interacting with your content. And if I stop interacting with your content, you're going to get buried further and further down my feed to the point where I'm probably never going to see your content. And when I am ready to buy, maybe next year, I'm not going to remember you. Even though I'm following you, I've never seen your content again because it's always about listings and it's not relevant to me at the time. So your sales window is actually very narrow, but you can foster those relationships every day. And if you're fostering those relationships, when they are ready to buy, when they are ready to sell, they're going to come to you because you've built this relationship with them over a period of time. All right, so all of that said, let's dive into our content strategies, things that you should be thinking about. We're going to talk about feed, reels, and stories. We're talking all of it. But before we dive into it, this is something I want you to be aware of. This is a generalized, optimal, in a perfect world, ideal circumstance. You are not expected to copy this verbatim in terms of how you actually apply your content strategy. But in general, if you can do 3 posts a week, that's 1 reel, 1 carousel, and 1 static feed post. If you did 1 of those, so 3 posts a week, and if you could do 1 story every single day. Now that it can be a single frame in a story, it could be a series of 2 or 3, that's fine. But if you could have a fresh story every single day, that is the optimal recipe. Can you do more? Sure. Can you do less? Absolutely. But this is kind of a general pattern, especially if you are trying to really make Instagram work for you. If you feel like you're kind of doing it, but you've been checking the box and you're not getting a ton of real results out of it, we want to basically stop whatever it was you were doing. We want to start from scratch, and we want to do this for the next 2 months. The reason why is it takes at least 4 to 6 weeks for content to get into a new rotation when you change your pattern of behavior. And it's going to take that long to look at data. So you don't get to go, well, I've never done a reel, but Jen Herman told me to do a reel, so I'm going to post a reel. And maybe it goes viral and does amazing. You're like, great, reels are great. We're going to do reels all the time. No, you may do a reel and it doesn't perform at all. And you're like, nope, reels don't work for us. We're never going to do one again. No, 1 reel is not a data point. 1 carousel is not a data point. So if you did this recipe every week for the next 6 weeks, you would be able to say, oh, look, our audience does really like reels. We should do more of that. Or we've been doing a lot of reels, but our audience really likes our carousels. We should do more of those. Or maybe this does become your perfect recipe and you just keep doing this because you find a good balance between all of these types of content. So again, this is the optimal, ideal, let's get a good baseline recipe, and then you are going to amend this based on your data and your feedback from your audience that tells you what type of content they want more. At no point should you go 100% on any one of these. Your strategy should not be 100% reels. Your strategy should not be 100% photos. You need a mix of all of these pieces of content. All right, so let's dive into our feed strategies. Now, in this case, we're talking about basically static photos. I want you to keep this in mind. less content, but better content. If you've ever heard me speak before, you know I preach this all the time. This is my jam. I don't want you to be posting every single day. Honestly, you probably don't have enough high quality content to be posting every single day. Some realtors do. I have a client that I've worked with for years and she posts every single day and it performs really well for her. But for the most part, most people, most real estate professionals don't have enough high quality content. And what ends up happening when you post every single day, you're actually making your content compete with itself. Your audience is not on Instagram every single day. Some people may be, but the vast majority of them are not. They may log in once a week, 2 or 3 times a week. They may log in for 5 minutes here, an hour there. It all depends. And so if you're posting every single day, your content is literally competing with itself. The post you shared on Monday starts getting traction. So the post you put up on Tuesday may get 0 traction because Monday's post is still performing well and is getting better ranking distribution and performance. So Tuesday's post gets very little performance, or Tuesday's post comes in and starts getting traction. So boom, it shoots up and it deteriorates post from Monday because it could have gotten way more distribution and performance, but Tuesday's overpowered it. So you're literally making your content compete with itself. Why? That's not helping you. So instead, space out your content. And if you did every other day, you give all your content more time to perform and actually get in front of your audience. Also, don't post mediocre content. We don't want things for the quote, check the box. Oh, I posted to Instagram. No, if it's mediocre, if it doesn't look good, if it doesn't perform well, you're actually hurting yourself algorithmically, because every time I scroll by your content and don't interact with it in any way, shape, or form, that is negative rankings algorithmically, which means the next time I log in, your content is even lower in the feed. And then I scroll by it again, it's going to go lower in the feed. So we want to make our content stand out. We want to make it in a way that makes me slow the scroll, makes me stop and look, makes me watch that video, makes me tap ... more and read that caption, makes me scroll back to go look at it, makes me go through that carousel. All those things are positive ranking algorithmically, even though we get pretty much no metrics on any of those behaviors. So we want to make sure our content stands out so that we get the engagement. And everything must be posted with a purpose. Even that fluff content, asking for those restaurant recommendations, sharing something about your personal life or your family vacation, all of those are posted with a purpose for keeping engagement up, interacting with your audience on a personal level, so that when you have the sales post, when you have those listings, they're seeing them. Everything is serving the ultimate end goal. So now here are some tips that I want you to keep in mind when you're looking at primarily photos. This will apply to photos that you take for your carousels. This can even apply to reels, even though it's a little bit different, but I want you to keep some of these things in mind when it comes to content for Instagram. Now, you will notice there's 4 photos on here. They're all very different, and yet they all have a lot of similarities. I'm going to break down what that looks like. So things to keep in mind: a bold color. This image from LeClaire over here on the right with her beautiful fuchsia jacket, which by the way, I kind of love, kind of want it. But when you're scrolling through the feed and you have that very muted background and that pop of color, that is enough to capture someone's attention for a split second, which can mean positive ranking algorithmically. It also makes her the clear focal point. There are pillows and there's a plant and there's a photo in the background, but your eyes are pulled into her. There is a very clear direction for your eyes to go to, even though there's things in the background. So we want that very clear focal point and not a distracting background. She's also, even though she's centered, she's actually slightly off to the side, which is not quite in the full alignment of the rule of thirds, but it does push her to the side, and that can be aesthetically more appealing. So think about that when you're looking at your content. This one from Maria, the realtor, as well. You can see the people are off to the right-hand side. They're in that right portion of the screen of the image, which puts them out of dead center. It's following again the rule of thirds, where the object of focus is now off to the side, and it can be aesthetically more appealing. The image from Morgan, her and she's kind of centered, but the baby Off to that left-hand side, rule of thirds. Baby's also going into the lower third, she's in the upper third. So you're getting all of these aesthetic appeals that are not where something of focus is in the dead center of the image. Now, in all of these images, well, 3 of them, there is a human component. This is key. Animals, kids, humans. That's a win. People connect with people. When you can put a person in your content, it will increase engagement. It doesn't have to be someone's face. So in this case, all of them, you can see the people's faces, but it could be just somebody's leg sitting in a chair. It could be their hand holding something. It could be shot over their shoulder, so you see the back of their head. But when you put a person in the image, it increases their reaction because it's an emotional connection. And that is enough to make them pause and look. Do I know that person? Do I recognize them? Positive ranking algorithmically. Also, kids, babies, cute animals, boom, up goes your engagement. So put a dog on the couch in the house, put a baby out there. That's going to increase your engagement as well, because people do like to interact with animals and babies. The color blue. All of these photos have the color blue. In any of them, is that the intended dominant color? No, but they all have the color blue. The blue sky, even Claire's over here, she's got the blue jeans on, so there is a pop of blue. The color blue has been shown to increase engagement by upwards of 20% on your posts. So find ways to include the color blue, even if it is something like the sky or a blue door on a house or a prop on a counter, coffee mug, those sorts of things. Even if blue isn't your brand color, when you can mix in the color blue, it's been shown to increase engagement. Raw photos. So obviously the 2 images to the right, you've got the house photo and you've got the realtor photo. Those are probably shot on DSLR, edited and uploaded. The other 2 images are shot on a smartphone and then uploaded. Does one do better than the other? It depends on your audience, but those raw photos, those ones shot on a smartphone and uploaded, can tend to do better because they're more relatable. It says, hey, I'm just like you, celebrities, they're just like us. It's that kind of thing. People connect with that reality of it, where it doesn't feel overly staged. It doesn't feel overly filtered. Even if you've added some edits and filters to these images, they feel more in the moment. And so one other thing I want to point out is the long lines. And that's why I picked this, this house up here, where you've got the house is kind of like a split level. So you've obviously got the upper driveway. They've got that long, with the long rods through the banister. And then you've got the peak of the house and all of these angles. If they took that photo from a different angle, that house would look completely different. But the way that it's shot, it's pulling all of those lines out to a long, distant focal point in the back of the image. So that is a totally different perspective, and that's a good thing. We want to play with those angles when you have people that have those long driveways, those long hallways, a long kitchen counter. If they've got really unique angles to their roofs, take the photos in a way that capture those angles and make it more unique to look at versus just a standard stand in front of the house, snap the photo at eye level. So play with all these sorts of things. It gets people to have reactions, and any reaction in that way is positive ranking algorithmically. Speaking of algorithm, you've heard me mention that word a few times already. So let's talk really quick about the feed algorithm. It is based predominantly on your individual interactions. It is a one-to-one relationship, meaning if you follow me, how you interact with my content determines where my content appears in your feed. It is not the same as Facebook. Facebook is a popularity contest. The better content performs on Facebook, the more people they show it to. Now, Reels does have more of that popularity component, but in general, when it comes to the feed, it is a one-to-one relationship. So the more you interact with my content, the more you see my content, regardless of what everyone else is doing with that post. There's also an impact from your behavior on Instagram as a whole when you are posting content. So if you post something as your business, as a realtor, and you are never interacting with other people's content, your content is not going to perform well. Instagram will reward you for your good behavior. So you want to make sure that if you have someone else using your Instagram account and posting on your behalf, that you are still logging in and scrolling through Instagram as your professional account. Go through and like other posts, check on your stories, look through Explore, send some DMs. Your positive interaction on the platform will actually increase your performance as well. All right, so we talked a little bit about this on Monday. I want to reiterate it here in case you didn't catch Monday's session. This is a super technical term, but we want to make your content Instagrammy. And by that, a lot of things we just talked about in the previous slide were some of the tips I had, things like the color blue. This has the color blue, unique lines and angles. They shot this from up on whether it's an upper floor balcony or even on the roof to get a unique perspective. It's not shot down at ground level, so they played with the angles. It's colorful. You've got the beautiful sunset. It's lifestyle-y. It makes you want to be in that backyard. And you go, I want to be there. And the moment you do that, you've created an emotional connection with your audience. So focus on the features of the house, not that standard curb shot. We want the unique features, those unique, beautiful bathrooms, that chef's kitchen, that amazing, closet space or the backyard or whatever it is. Focus on features of the house when you're creating your content. Make it colorful, play with those angles. Edit your images. Do not just simply upload. Go in and change your settings, whether it's adding a filter, whether it's bumping up saturation and contrast, lowering highlights or shadows, whatever it is, to make those photos look good. And ultimately, please, for the sake of argument, when it comes to Instagram, avoid those graphics and stock photos. They do not perform well on Instagram. Do they have the content you want and message you're trying to convey? Absolutely. But if people aren't reading them, they're not converting anyways. So find a beautiful photo and another way to convey that same content. So this is an example that I really like, where he took the literal flyer and he made a boomerang video where he flips the flyer back and forth. So you can see that it's a flyer, it has all the information on it, but then he puts the information in the caption. So rather than just taking what was on that flyer and just uploading that graphic, that image of it, he turned it into something that is still the same information, but in a unique way. Similarly, you could have a beautiful photo of the house, like in this case, that beautiful back patio, and you could say open house, just 2 words. And then again, in the caption, you put all the text and details. That is much more likely to get people's attention. It's much more likely to get engagement, and it's much more likely to perform well across Instagram, including getting people to show up for that open house, than if you simply take that PDF, make it a JPEG, and throw it up on Instagram. This is always going to perform better. Now, when you're writing your captions, when it comes to Instagram, keep some things in mind. Your caption should be descriptive. We talked a little bit about this in Monday's session as well, so you can go back and watch that session. But you want to be descriptive. You want to talk about emotions. This is not a place to just simply list out bullet points of the house details. 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 1,800 square feet. That's not descriptive. Instead, write things that speak to the emotions of the property. You also want to make sure that that first sentence is incredibly powerful, because when people are scrolling through Instagram, they see the first sentence, the next or the first line, second line is cut off with ... more. If they don't click ... more, they didn't read any of that caption. So instead of just starting off with text and details, make that first sentence powerful. Think of it like a blog post title, like an email subject line header. Use emojis, use capital letters, ask a question, make a bold statement, use a teaser question. Whatever you can do to get people to go, I want to read more, and then they will actually read that caption. Your captions should be entertaining, educational, informative, or valuable, or a combination of multiple of those components. So it's not just to dump data. We want to be able to actually showcase your personality, who you are, what you're trying to communicate, whether it's a tip, a tutorial, a resource, a referral for a vendor, whatever it is. Make sure that caption is sharing that information. In general, not too short, not too long. I usually say 1 to 3 short paragraphs. If your photo scrolls to the top of the screen and your caption goes beyond the length of the screen, it's probably too long. Now, that said, I am the queen of maxing out characters. I always use long captions on Instagram. It works for my brand. Doesn't typically work in the real estate space, but that doesn't mean it can't work. And then make sure you stay true to your brand voice. Use lingo and emojis as appropriate. You are your brand. If you are that super polished, you're the pencil skirts, you're the very gorgeous, fitted dresses and the perfectly polished hair, and you come out and you have a very, Heather Dubrow from the Real Housewives of Orange County, who I love, by the way. If you're like a very Heather Dubrow type, you're not going to be throwing in a ton of slang and like surfer lingo. It's not going to translate well. But if you are that super laid back surfer beach type, then embrace that lingo. That's okay too. You're going to attract your ideal audience based on who you are. And if you portray yourself as that super laid back, super chill, surfer type, and then you show up looking like Heather Dubrow and speaking like her, people are like, that's not what I expected. And it throws them off, and that creates distrust. So who you are in person should be who you are in your captions, in your videos, and in your content. Now, when you're putting up your calls to action and your captions, mix them up. Don't always just say, go to the link in bio. Yes, that works. It's by far the most common caption or call to action, but do things like tag someone below, send me an email. What's your recommendation? Leave a comment below. Those are all calls to action. You can also do things like send me a DM. So if you want to give people the link to a survey or to some market news trends, rather than saying what link in my bio, say, if you want to know more about this, shoot me a DM and I'll give you the direct link. And so now you've opened up that one-on-one dialogue. We talked on Monday about why direct messages are so important, because Instagram looks at that as a personal relationship. And when you have a personal relationship on Instagram, your content ranks higher for that person. So saying something like send me a DM is not only a good call to action in terms of just interacting with them and having that relationship, but it's great for algorithmic preference as well. Also, do not put a call to action in every single post. Not everything is meant to be something asking them to do something. Sometimes you can just provide them value. All right, let's talk carousel posts really quick, because carousel posts are kind of the secret sauce that not everyone is aware of, that I want you to make sure you're taking advantage of. Carousels give you double the chance for exposure. So you can have anywhere from 2 to 10 images or videos in a carousel. Now, I'm actually doing a whole training in my membership program tomorrow just on carousels, because these are so important in the fact that they give you double the exposure. And when used strategically, these are super valuable. But really quick, as a recap, again, 2 to 10 slides in a carousel, but you only get shown twice. So if you have 6 photos, it doesn't reappear 6 times. But if you log in and you don't interact with my first post in a carousel, the next time you log on to Instagram, it's going to show you that second image in the sequence. So it's that second chance to capture your attention. This is why we do not want the same photo twice, because if the first one didn't get my attention, it's not going to happen the second time through. So we want a second photo or video, something different. And that may be the one that captures their attention. That may be the one that makes them go, wait, did I see something about this already? Or maybe the first one is just a beautiful photo that says open house. The second one has the details listed out. So if they don't interact with the first one, at least the second one, even though it's still kind of graphical, is going to give them the content. They're like, did I see something about an open house? I want to go see that. It could still be enough to slow the scroll, even though you've got a lot of content on that image, but it's not overwhelmingly on the first slide. Make sense? I hope so. Again, this is a great way to condense a lot of content into a single post. So if you've got things going on locally, or if you've got a property and you've got all these beautiful shots of the property, you can put all the property in one post. So you're not posting 8 different posts about one property, but make sure you do not overuse these. Okay. It's really important that you're like, oh, Jen said this is double the chance for exposure. Let's do this all the time. No, because it is still too much content. If you're doing carousels all the time, it's too much. Sometimes people don't want to swipe through, and we need to be strategic that when we want that double chance of exposure, it's for a specific property listing. It's because you've got a call to action that we really want to make sure they take action on, and we need that second chance to get that content in front of them. So use these strategically. Other things that you can do when you're looking at your carousels, I love these couple examples. So if you create, you can go into something like Canva or, whatever editing tools you have, and you create a custom cover slide. I do this on a lot of my content on my Instagram account as well, but you can go through and create what in this case, so she has fun family day trips. So you've got a cover slide. Yes, it's got text. You're right, it's not a photo, but you can kind of see there's like a very translucent kind of filter over like the flip-flops sitting out of the car. So there's still a photo back there, but you go, oh, fun family day trips. Well, that sounds interesting. I want to know more. And so now you're going to start swiping through. And then she lists all these different places. So this one is the World of Illusions in Hollywood up in LA. But it's one of these fun things that you can scroll through and provide all these value add, all these tips, your tutorials, your before and afters, whatever it is. But you can create a really great cover image that you use consistently, and it creates that brand awareness. And every time people see that, they're like, oh, I want to know more. They're more likely to swipe through on those as well. All right, let's get into Reels. So fun fact, on Instagram, now when you say video, it's basically a reel. Pretty much every video that is uploaded to Instagram is considered a reel. So it is all things reels. Instagram has been pushing it hard. We all know that. You will reach more new people with reels. They are great for distribution. They are great for awareness. Not necessarily great for conversions, okay? Most people do not find that reels convert. So they are really good for super top of funnel. They are great for awareness. They're great for getting new eyeballs on your content, but don't try to actually close a sale off of a reel. Don't even necessarily try to get someone to your website from a reel. Most people scrolling through reels aren't going to leave that interface and go do something else. So it's great for awareness. Doesn't mean they can't convert, but they typically aren't great for conversions. And make sure you focus on what your target audience wants. Do they want home tours? Do they want tutorials? Do they want frequently asked questions? Do they want to know more about you and your family? What is it that they want in a video, in a reel, that you can make sure you're giving them the right content to get that distribution? So some things to keep in mind when you are creating your reels. You want to keep the caption super short. This goes counterintuitive to everything we talked about for the feed posts. So if you look at this example, you can see underneath where it has his name at the bottom, it has Mr. Brian Tran, then it has, you're leaving a lot of money on the table if ... Remember what I talked about making that first statement, that first sentence powerful? You want to do the same thing on your reels. You want it to be basically the title of the video, a teaser, something that makes people want to know more, but that's it. Because once they see that ... most people do not click on and read that caption. If you try to open that up, all that white text over a moving video is very hard to read. Even in the feed, people are more likely to watch the video than they are to read the caption. So the captions do not need to be long. They should literally be one sentence. That's all you need. But you, as a result, don't have a long descriptive caption. You want to make sure you're putting as many hashtags as possible into your caption, not a comment, into your caption for those reels. And you want to use up to 30, and we want them to be relevant ones. Go ahead and scan that QR code. That will take you to my hashtag strategy. We do not have time today to cover hashtags, but that will walk you through my super secret recipe that I tell everybody that has been proven to get results when you use that hashtag strategy. So you want to make sure you incorporate that in your reels. No, you do not have to dance on your reels. I promise you, you can do it without dancing or lip syncing. You don't even have to be on camera if you really don't want to. Create educational content, not just entertainment. Again, it's not just about the short, 7-15 second, kind of dance challenges or funny blooper type things. You can create great educational content. This example from Brian is a great one, and that is an educational, answering things that people need to know. When you do your reels, get right to the point in the first frame. I see this mistake across all industries so many times where people come onto their reel. Hi, I'm Jen Herman with Jen's Trends, and I would like to share with you. No, honey, by the time you said, hi, I'm gone. They're not going to stay. So instead, you want to come in, and in this example, you'd be like, here's 3 things you must do before you sell your house. I'm Brian Tran, and I'm going to give you some tips to make sure you sell your house as quickly as possible. The first thing you need to do is A, B, C, and walk through it. You want to come in immediately with what that topic is to capture their attention. If you do your introduction, They are not watching the video, okay? So keep that in mind when you're filming content for Reels. Always make sure you add a title with a text box like he did here, put the title. So if someone's coming in, the moment they see it, if audio is not on, if they're not listening to him, they go, oh, yep, that's one I need to know more about. I'm going to turn up my audio so I can listen to this, or I'm going to save it. I'm going to send it to somebody so I can watch it later. You also want to create a custom cover image. So in this case, you could literally screenshot this if you wanted to and make that your cover image, but your cover image needs to have the title on it. And then that cover image is what you upload when you upload your reel, because when someone goes to your Reels tab on your profile and all they see is a bunch of random clips from your videos with no text or no information what's in those videos, they don't know which ones to watch. If they don't know which ones to watch, they're either going to click on the wrong ones or they're going to click on none of them, and you're going to lose the opportunity to connect with them with video. But a good cover image with the title, with your face, with what that video is about, doesn't have to have a ton of information, but that's enough to go, yes, that's the video I want to watch. And they're more likely to stay and watch the whole video. You're going to get more retention, better viewers, and better performance with that user. Custom cover images are the key to better retention. So here's a quick guide as well. If you want to grab your phones and scan that, you will also be getting copies of these slides. So you can always scan that at that point. This is a double opt-in. I know, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to say, yes, I want it. And then you're gonna get an email and you're gonna say, yes, I want it again. And then we'll send you the guide. But it has 12 free Reels ideas to walk you through things that you can start doing immediately with your Reels content. Now, it's not exclusively for the real estate industry, it's just for people in general, but there are 12 examples in there that you can implement, that you can start doing as a realtor to start creating Reels super easily, immediately. And there's screenshots and examples that explain why that these are valuable Reels that you can be doing. So go ahead and grab that if you want more help with your Reels strategies. So also when you're doing your videos, keep this in mind, bring your expertise. You are an expert. You've been doing this. You know what's happening in the market. You know what's happening in your neighborhood. So address those news and trends, answer those frequently asked questions. I answer questions about hashtags literally every week. I've been doing this for 10 years. I am like, if I never answered a question about hashtags again, I'd be super happy. But people don't know. Just because I know it doesn't mean that you know it. So answer those commonly asked questions and do it over and over and over and over again. If you can, create that episodic content where every Monday you come on and do something, so people start to expect you to show up every single Monday. Go live. Live video is amazing for you in this industry. It's great for doing virtual tours. It's great for doing previews of open houses. It's great for being able to showcase your expertise, to interview guests, to answer those frequently asked questions. Whatever it is, there's a ton of value in going live. And then when it does save afterwards, it is saved to your profile as a reel where people can go back and watch it after the fact. The other great thing is you essentially get a list of all the viewers. You see everyone who viewed that live, so you can see who is consistently showing up. If you're seeing the same people show up on all your live videos showing tours of properties, that's a good indication that that's probably a hot lead for somebody who's looking to either buy or sell at this point. Those are people you're going to want to follow up with, and they're following you, so you have an open communication with them. All right, let's talk stories before we wrap things up today. So for most brands, stories are actually the highest converting type of content. I just said Reels are not great for conversions. Stories for most brands are the best for conversions for a number of reasons. But how can you take advantage of that? Well, you need people to see your stories if you're going to be able to convert on them, right? So we want to make sure that you're using things that are going to get your stories to the top of that feed. Now, if you've never looked at a story ever, it's based on just chronological, but it's algorithmically determined based on the likelihood that you are going to watch that person's story. What is the likelihood that you're going to watch all their stories? What is the likelihood that you're going to interact with that story? What is the likelihood that you're going to do a quick reply or send a message in response to that story? All of those things tell Instagram to rank that content higher. Not just the passive engagement of watching it, but the active engagement of doing something, clicking on something, participating in some way with that story. So things that will help you get there are stickers. So we can use things like the poll, quiz, and question stickers. Those are great in your industry as well. You can ask a poll something as simple as, how are you going to beat the heat? And you could be like, go to the beach, turn on the air conditioning, right? And people vote on that. It's fluff content 100%. But when they're interacting with your content, they're more likely to see your home listings, right? Quizzes are great. So you can pose a little quiz about whether maybe it's that first time home buyer type audience. Maybe you've got that baby boomer generation that's downsizing from, you know, their big single family home down into more of a condo environment. So you can ask quizzes where you can say something like, you know, a simple question, would you do this in this situation? Or which option would you choose if you were preparing to list your home? What's the first thing you should do if you're looking to downsize your house? Whatever it is, you ask these questions and then you pose the various options that they can choose from. They choose the answer. If they get the answer right, yay. If they get the answer wrong, boo. But if you follow up that with an answer video, so you do the quiz, right? And then the immediate next slide is a video of you addressing why the right answer is the right answer. It's so valuable. And so if they got the wrong answer, now they go to you and you're like, oh, okay. Now I understand. I'm getting value from you. Even if they got it right, now they're hearing you explain why, and it's validating what they knew. So that's a great way to stay interactive and showcase your value and experience. Questions are great. Again, you can do that for like, I'm looking for recommendations for where to go to dinner. Give me your recommendations, and they can answer it as a question. You can say, you know, what's your biggest fear when walking into an open house? Why don't you want to go to open houses? Would you rather go here? Would you rather go there? Like, you can ask questions and people can answer them. It is incredible market research plus active engagement. Lots of other stickers like the add yours, the countdown sticker. The countdown sticker is great for open houses. Put that on there. People can get a notification, pops up. Oh, it's 9 a.m. on Saturday. That's right. There's an open house. We should go see that. The slider sticker, so random, but it's great for engagement. And the link sticker. Now, the link sticker is part of the reason why Instagram stories are so great at conversions, because you can send people anywhere. Anybody can use the link sticker. It does not have to be the 10,000 anymore. So you can put a link to anywhere. It can be to your YouTube videos. It can be to your blog posts, your MLS listings, to your about page, to wherever you want to send people. And so you want to make sure that you're customizing this link though. So you're going to go in, you're going to choose the link sticker, you're going to paste in your URL, and below that it says customized text. You can go in there and actually add whatever you want, make it a call to action, watch the video, take the survey, find out more, read it here, whatever it is. And then I recommend, like in this case, you can see I'm pointing and that's where I put the sticker. I use the clicky emojis or the GIF where it like does like the little mouse click so people know, oh, click on that. Anything I can do to draw attention to that sticker as a call to action will help drive those conversions. So overall, for all the things that we talked about today for your content, your regular feed posts are to serve your audience and keep up engagement. They may not get as much engagement as your reels, but when you keep those feed posts active, whether it's through carousels or static images, it's going to keep providing that value and it's going to keep up your engagement. Your reels are to get your exposure and placement. Reels are not typically going to be for serving long form content. You can absolutely use them and they will serve your existing audience, but they're typically best for exposure, higher ranking in the feeds. So most people are going to want shorter reels. But we have so much training on this in my membership program where I break this all down, and I could literally talk about reels for just 2 hours, just on all the things to think about for reels. And then stories are going to be for top of mind and a variety of content. Stories disappear every 24 hours. So if you're constantly putting fresh content in there, it's keeping you top of mind. They're seeing that content, they're interacting with it. It's a chance to see you in a more casual environment, a little less edited, less, perfect lighting and audio and that sort of things, a little more behind the scenes of what your life is like as a parent, as a soccer coach, as a, PTA member, or as a resortist or a luxury travel person, or wherever it is that you're going. These are how people are going to connect with you, is more so from your stories. And that is why they're so high converting. So you're going to combine all of these. Like I said, we're not going to turn around and be like, oh, I'm only going to do reels. We want to combine all of the feed, the carousels, the reels, and the stories all together to get you more leads and ultimately close more home sales. I want to thank all of you for hanging out with me today. If you want to scan that QR code, that will sign you up for my newsletter. Again, double opt-in, but that goes up the first Wednesday of every month, and it has all the Instagram news and updates. We usually have an average 9 to 10 updates a month when it comes to Instagram. So all those updates are broken out, as well as all the other big social media news, resources, value add content to help you master your social media strategy. If it's not ideal for you, have one of your team members sign up for it. And I promise not to spam your inbox. I don't have enough time in a week or a month to create that much content. So you only get one email a month from me. And you can connect with me pretty much around the web at Jenns, JENNS_trends. I also have a free Facebook group. I have a course specifically for Instagram for the real estate industry. So you can always check that out. And then I have a membership program, Profit Your Profile, which you can always check out as well. There's a monthly and annual options available there. And that's all things Instagram, but also marketing. We bring in guest experts every month to do a training in addition to the training I do. So we've had the head of Microsoft social media come in. We've had the head of the San Diego Zoo come in. We've had a celebrity TV chef come in. We have a Meta certified trainer who comes in and teaches things, whether it's reels or ads. We have a ton of resources in that membership program to help you or your team members, as necessary, master Instagram marketing. So I'm going to leave this up for a hot second while I open up our Q&A. And so we have, if you have any questions, feel free to drop those in there. We do have about 10 minutes until we wrap up. So feel free to drop those questions in there from anything that we talked about today or anything that didn't get answered. So Karen said, where do you suggest going to learn the editing and technical parts? Well, I'm going to selfishly plug my membership program, Profit Your Profile, if that's an option for you. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing so that I can answer all of these questions that pop in and see all the screens. So yes, in my membership program, Profit Your Profile, we actually did a whole training, I want to say a couple months ago, where we literally broke down the editing and just how to edit within Instagram from both a Reels perspective and the regular feed and editing photos there. We've done multiple training sessions as it relates to Reels. So we've talked about how to film within the Reels app, how to use all the different things like a green screen filter, how to use the different editing tools within Reels. So we do constant training on that to help with those sorts of things. So if you want to check that out, Karen, it is profityourprofile.com. Additionally, if you want to, I have all of these books, which are all Instagram for Dummies related. The green one, which is Instagram, not Instagram for Business, but just Instagram for Dummies. The second edition is the green one. You can get that on any major bookstore, whether that's, Barnes and Noble, you can get it on Amazon, you can get it on Target, all those different places have that book. And it literally walks you through every aspect from the technical all the way through editing for everything related to the feed, the Reels, and the stories components. So those are really great resources to kind of get started. You can always look at additional things. Canva does a ton of training tutorials on creating graphics and visuals that, although they're not specific to the Instagram side of things, can really help you figure out how to work on creating good visuals. So if you haven't checked out Canva for their tutorials, you can always check them out as well. All right, so I'm not seeing any other questions pop in right now. I'm just double checking the chat. So if anybody has a question, now's your time to drop that in there. I'm happy to answer that. I'll wait just another minute if you're typing something up. Otherwise, we will wrap it up early. And for those of you who caught the replay, if you have any questions, or if any of you watching live have any questions after the fact, you can always shoot me a direct message over on Instagram or shoot me an email, jen@jennstrends.com. And I'm happy to answer. Just let me know and be like, hey, I saw your session with OC Realtors and I had a question about blah, 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 blah. And I'm always happy to answer those questions for you as well. Like I said, my favorite part is giving you the value and resources that you need by answering your specific questions. So if you have those, by all means, please send those over. All right, so I'm not seeing anything else pop in. So Elsie, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you to everybody. We will wrap it up. I am super grateful for all those of you who hung out with us today and for those of you catching us on the replay. And I hope this was very valuable. Mary said, oh, nice job. Thank you, Mary. I'm so glad you found that helpful. And I look forward to seeing you all again. We will be doing more training, I believe, in September. So later in the year, we'll do a little more training with you guys as well. And we'll update all of this for more content and more valuable information to refresh and keep everything moving smoothly for everybody. And again, if you didn't catch Monday's session, make sure you go and watch that one as well, because it had a ton of stuff on optimizing your profile and your strategies there, so you can continue to get better results as a realtor. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much, and stay cool. It's finally summer, so we can go enjoy all this warm weather and stay cool. Bye, everybody.